Hello and welcome to Tech for Non-Techies, the only podcast that demystifies the fast-growing technology sector. I'm your host, Sophia Matveeva, Chicago-based MBA and tech entrepreneur. My aim here is to give you the skills, knowledge and confidence to find opportunities in the tech sector, whether that's through founding a company, getting a dream job, or bringing a fresh perspective to your work. Hello, smart people. How are you today? I've just been planning the next few topics I'm going to cover with you, and I am so excited. There's so much I want to teach you, and I really do think that if you learn how the tech around you works and how the businesses behind it make money, so many more opportunities will open up to you. And when they do, you will have the knowledge and confidence to go after them. Won't that be fabulous? And that's what I want for you. I want you to have knowledge and confidence. And by the way, you overachievers, I'm looking at you here, don't freak out about the knowledge bit. A lot of what I teach is about knowing what to ignore. Don't fall into analysis paralysis. It's about knowing enough to be dangerous. Speaking of which, if you want to get dangerous, the What Non-Technical Founders Really Need to Know About Tech course is opening for enrollment in March. And I'm doing a free session on the introductory concepts in the course on 15th and 16th of March. And in case you're listening in the future, so that's March 2021, the free masterclass is called a Break into Tech Masterclass for Non-Technical Founders. Now, this content is basically the introductory content to the course that I taught at London Business School, which now you can access without having to do the bloody GMAT, which I had to do, and I did not enjoy myself. Anyway, even if you're not planning to launch a tech venture, I highly recommend you come to this class. If you're listening to this podcast, you're clearly interested in tech, and understanding how tech products get made is absolutely fundamental to having a successful career today, in my view. It is the transferable skill in today's digital economy. So, come to the class, learn something new, and ask me some questions. If you do want to launch a tech venture, then obviously it's a no-brainer. It's a free class, and you get to hang out with me, which is the most fun you can ever have with your clothes on. In fact, it's a webinar, so I have to keep my clothes on, but you can take yours off. It's fine, so you can have fun. Oh God, where is this going? Okay, sorry, whoops. The link to the Break into Tech Masterclass for Non-Technical Founders is in the show notes and also available on techfornontechies.co/events. All right, the announcements are done. That's it. This class is now in session, so let's get serious. Whew. Okay, so today I want to cover a topic I've seen a lot of smart people make mistakes in. This is believing that the Android and Apple mobile app economies are basically the same thing. I am still giggling, this is ridiculous. Okay, before we start, here's a disclaimer. China is a very different case, and the mobile app economy there is entirely different. So, if you want to work in the Chinese market specifically, listen to this episode and then supplement it with knowledge about China. But if you want to work or invest in tech outside of China, then this episode is gold. Let's start with a bit of history. The Apple App Store was launched in July 2008 with 500 apps. The Google Play Store was launched in October 2008, so same year. Apple was the frontrunner, but as we can see, Google followed very closely. Today, in February 2021, there are 1.85 million apps on Apple and 2.56 million apps on Google. So let's just round it to almost 2 million on Apple and about 2.5 million on Google. So we can see that more on Google. But in general, there's a huge explosion in just over a decade. And that's basically the app economy. I mean, there's also the Chinese app economy, which is enormous but different, and we're not including it in this. So in the app economy, fortunes have been made and fortunes have been lost. And what I find really fascinating are the next set of figures I'm about to give you. So worldwide Google Play and Apple App Store user spending is projected to reach $171 billion in 2024. And it's about $102 billion today. So that's $70 billion in what, like 4 years, 3 years now. So this is massive projected growth. So I know that some of you are investors, and if you're looking for opportunities of where to invest your money and your time and your energy, the app economy is certainly a very attractive place to start. And remember, we're all investors. So yes, investing money, that's the traditional way of thinking about investment. But if you're getting a job, that means you're investing your energy, you're investing your brain power, one would hope. You can be a founder. So there are lots of different ways to invest. It doesn't actually have to be cash. But anyway, whatever you decide, the app economy is a place to explore, but you've got to learn some stuff first. And that's why I'm here. So of that 171 billion projected, 115 billion is projected to be revenue made on Apple and only 56 on Google. So let's just stop. So there are fewer apps on Apple. Remember, we said 2 million on Apple and 2.5 million on Google. But Apple accounts for about 70% of the revenue. So that proportion exists today. So it's basically about 70% Apple, 30% Google in terms of revenue breakdown, despite more apps on Google. That's the Google Play Store. And this difference, this stark difference, is projected to continue. And by the way, I got these projections from an article in TechCrunch, so you can find that if you want to delve deeper. But if you really want to study the app economy and just totally nerd out, then go to App Annie. It has really good data on the app economy, so check that out. Okay, so understanding why there is this massive difference in revenue is super important. I would say do not start working on mobile apps or investing in mobile app companies before you really delve into this. So there are 4 core differences between the Apple and Android ecosystems. And they are technology, design, user characteristics, and monetization. In this episode, we're going to cover the last 2 points. We can't be here forever. So we're going to talk about user characteristics and monetization. If you want to understand all 4 points, we have a class on Tech for Non-Techies membership on this very topic. So you can watch that on demand, download the learning notes, and get answers to your questions from me after you've watched the class. So let's begin with user characteristics. Who are iPhone users? Well, basically, they're rich. The median iPhone app user earns $85,000 per year, which is about 40% more than the median Android phone user. So that means that rich countries have a higher proportion of iPhone users. So for example, in the US, 45% of all smartphone users have an iPhone. And that figure in India is 3%. So 3% of smartphone users in India use Apple. In the US, that's 45. So see, massive difference. And I can almost hear the abuse coming from the Samsung users. I can hear you screaming. But Samsung is just as expensive as Apple. Yes, that is true. But the Android operating system developed by Google is available on all sorts of phones. And yes, that includes the expensive Samsung. But it also includes lots of much cheaper devices. And this means that Android phones are most popular in emerging markets. Also, there is a difference in spending. Even the rich people on Android don't spend as much on apps as Apple users do. iPhone users spend twice as much as their Android counterparts. I know plenty of people who aren't particularly wealthy actually, and they've got Apple phones because they could spread the cost of the purchase with a mobile phone contract. So that's quite popular in the UK, for example. And even those people, they're still likely to spend more on apps than their richer Android counterpart. And this is partially because there is more opportunity to spend on apps in the Apple ecosystem. So let's backtrack. Given the differences, so basically Apple rich, Android poor, app developers make apps with different revenue models, basically for different customers. So by the way, when I say app developers, I mean companies that make apps, not actual coders. So I've led a company that makes apps. So I am an app developer, even though I don't write code, and I have no intention of starting. So back to monetization. So basically, apps on Apple make money via subscriptions and in-app purchases. Apps on Google, on the other hand, make money via advertising. Now this makes sense. Apple users have more money, so they're more willing to spend it on apps that help them be more productive or entertain them or find them dates or inner peace or six-pack abs, which, all good things, by the way. So Android users are poorer, so they don't want to pay for apps, but app developers, they gotta make money somehow. So what do? They put advertising in their apps and then they get money from advertisers. So this has all sorts of implications for user goals, for example, for product metrics and for privacy. So let's take privacy as an example because Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, that's something he is now really emphasizing. He's emphasizing privacy at Apple basically as a feature, which is kind of quite a new thing, and I find that really interesting. So digital advertising is all about targeting the right person with the right offer. I advertise on Facebook, so it's all about understanding who your users are, what they like, so then you can find people like them who don't yet know about you, so we can all enlighten them about the joy that is tech for non-techies. Okay, so this means that you need to collect lots of data on users and you need to share them with advertisers if you are a digital advertising based model. So that means that apps on the Google Android ecosystem have a much looser privacy policy and have much looser privacy restrictions as a result. And I don't want to leave you with the impression that basically Apple is good and Android is bad, because that's not true. They're different and they serve different audiences and they have different purposes. So you must treat them as different things, not good, not bad. Android is terrible for some things and wonderful for others. Equally, Apple is wonderful for some things and terrible for others. So if your aim, for example, is to create an app that provides a personal styling service to women in London, then that is a premium service. Because it's a premium service for women living in a rich city, you would charge a subscription. So where would you put that app? You would launch it on Apple. If, on the other hand, you are making an app for a charity, for example, that helps children learn basic English in India so they could get jobs in hospitality in Mumbai, then you would put it on Android. So as always, your product decisions come back to the user and the problem for the user that you're solving. So think about the user, then think about your business model, and that will naturally tell you whether Apple or Android are right for you. So if you want to get learning notes on this and watch the full class on mobile development, then join our membership. You'll get access to a library of classes, as well as live sessions every Tuesday with me and tech experts where you can ask your questions and get live feedback. And we also have a monthly member meetup, which I just love. So coming up, we've got live sessions with a venture capitalist, a fintech innovator, and a very cool non-technical founder who I caught up with today, and I think that's going to be a good session. The link to the membership is in the show notes, and smart people, do not forget the free masterclass on Break into Tech. That's happening in mid-March, and I would love to see you there. The link is in the show notes and at techfornontechies.co/events. So on that note, go do something fabulous. Thank you for listening and lending me your lovely smart ears. And go enjoy yourself, and I will do the same. And I'll speak to you next week. Bye.